everybody, it's Jeanette Vilda. So I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to show you something I've made. Not too, I love how it looks and how it turned out, but there's a few things I really want to do differently. There's some stuff that I'm not too happy with, but it was just something to play with, and so I wouldn't call them mistakes. It was just, since I was playing with things, and oh boy, my hands look weird in this. So I have to adjust my light and everything because of my lights in the room flicker with this camera. And so I have to adjust saturation and brightness and everything in the camera to get it to not flicker. So consequently, some things look a little weird, but at least now you can't see as much of the paint that's all over my hands. So we'll go with that. So anyways, I like to make little folios, and so I'd come up with this folio, and it turned out pretty good, but there's a few things I wouldn't do the same. But I thought that typically, I just show you something, but I thought I might do this as a tutorial, kind of show you how I made it, and I'm going to try and I'm going to make the same one while using different papers, a little bit differently, obviously, but make the same thing and fix, hopefully, some of the things that I did wrong. And then we can, kind of my way of sharing you tips of stuff that I've learned along the way, and also in case you want to make something like this. And that's also why things look a little different. So you can see my little tripod, because I wanted to balloon out a bit so that you could see everything. And I've switched things around so that it's facing me and I can see what I'm doing. So hopefully this is okay. So anyways, let's take a look at this. So the papers that I've used are from Blanche. And I don't have the name right to me because, obviously it got cut off, but it's in another spot. So I'll make sure to list down below what the name of this particular paper set was. But this is Blanche. And I didn't do anything really to the cover. I picked out a part of the cover that had this lovely gold square, so it kind of looks, like a area. You could write in there something. And then I just used a little rub-on to add a B. And the reason I had the B is because throughout the book I used some papers from Janie B journals, I believe. And some of the papers had these little bees in it. It was really cute, so I thought add some more bees throughout. So these papers here are from Janie B journals, and there's some other pieces, some ephemera that I have from other artists, just stuff that I had in my stash, and so used throughout. And so we've got a pocket here, and then this flips out, and over on this side here I've just used a normal envelope from a stash. It could be used, new, whatever you want to do. And there's just a little card in here with another rub-on. Go ahead. Oh, I'm used to having this flipped, so now I and again, it'll blow out whenever things are really bright white. So I apologize for every time it's going to do that. That's the only way I can get it to not flicker. So here you can see that B paper. And I used another bee rub-on right here to just really pull out the bees. So then here in the middle, we have a spot that's held together with a ribbon. And it just opens up. Now this is a coin envelope, but I made this using my pocket punch from We Are Memory Keepers. But there's lots of templates out there that you can find for making coin envelopes, or just you can purchase craft coin envelopes. And this is some more little Blanche paper. That's another rub-on. And then some extra other pieces of paper from the little Blanche set. And then some little stamps. They're actually stamp stickers, they're not really stamps. And inside, I had a couple of pictures. These are also from Blanche. I don't believe they're from the same paper family as what I've used here, but I just thought they really fit with the, the kind of gold pieces to it. And then this is, I believe, also some Janie B journals. I'm going to say that wrong every single time, so I apologize. And then I love the sticky. It's a place that I get a lot of stickers from, and I absolutely adore sticky. And when I was making this, I had just gotten a delivery from Sticky, and they happened to have this little pad of paper that had this, and it's not exactly the same color, but I loved it, so I went ahead and stuck it in here. And then this flips this way. And then in here, we have a little pad of paper and a string from the Sari Silk, which always goes everywhere. And what I've used here is from old file folders, really old file folders. You have these little holders in them. And while, I've pitched the file folders themselves, mostly because they just fell apart. Some of them, whatever I can keep or use, I always hold on to, but pulled out all of these little guys. And then these are some brads that kind of look like screws. And then this is actually pink monarch prints. So these two pieces. And I believe this one specifically is from Tracy Fox. That's pink monarch prints. And this is just another piece of the paper from Blanche. And that is a tight fit. Go in there. Okay. And again, that just quickly ties with my Sari Silk. There's lots of ways you can do this in order to hold this piece together. You can use magnets, but because of the style, I just really thought that the Sari Silk went better. All right, so then on this side, we have, I just made a couple pockets with some papers, some rub-ons. I love those button rub-ons. They're great. And some more little sheets. Now these, I don't think these were from Sticky. I think these were maybe an AliExpress pad of paper. That was Agatha Christie, and I thought they looked kind of cute with this, and that is a tight fit. Please go in there. There we go. And then inside here, I have a little journal, just random papers. So you can see I didn't do any decorating. There's no pockets or anything. It's really just a little journal. But of course, you can decorate throughout there. And then the actual piece on the outside, the cover here, is with the manila folder. And then on the inside here, I made a pocket with some of the paper, and then this is another ephemera piece, and then some cards and stuff, different ephemera pieces, and another of those bee rub-ons. I love those. And then that's just a stamp that I thought looked pretty cute with it. And then to go on to this side, these are again just two paper pieces that I made into pockets with some different cards. And then the same sets of pictures had this cute little picture of these two kids, and so I just made that into a little pocket for another little card. And of course the back I just left blank. Don't usually do too much to the back. Now this is two manila folders put together, and then I cover the three spines with fabric. Now you can use book tape, you could use duct tape, let's see, what else could you use? You could even reinforce it with extra paper. I personally prefer the fabric, so that's what I'm going to do again for my example for the tutorial. So this is what we're going to make. Now the paper that I've decided to use is, once again, it's La Blanche. So let me squish that up here a bit so you can see La Blanche. LaBlanche.eau. And they are some really beautiful papers. And most are double-sided, although some are single-sided. But these are double-sided. And this is Steampunk. So it's Steampunk 1. I've got, let's see, Steampunk. There's 4, 2, and I think 3 is in here as well. Yep, there's 3. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I believe that is all of them. Yeah, so I just have multiple pages of Steampunk 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then to go with that, I've got the card strips that you can get along with the papers. And they have some really nice backs. So some of them are they're all kind of different. I really like how they do there's those cards. This one has. So with this one, they don't necessarily go, as you can see, they're not one-to-one like the other ones are. So you can either choose to use the cards or the clocks. But I do like how they back these so that you can either use this as a strip or cut the cards, and then they automatically have something on the back. So I'm going to use these as well. And then the fabric I've chosen is this, and in the My Light, it's a nice kind of it's a green, but it has this very slight blue tint. And I picked this because it goes with the slight blue that's in the papers, and then also the back of the Steampunk 1 is this really pretty blue, and the blue that's in the green goes nicely with that blue. So this is the fabric. Excuse me. The one thing to think about when choosing your fabric, if you're going to use it to cover your seams, is how see-through it is. Okay, so for instance, let me grab, I've got this other fabric that I thought about using, and it's okay, it's good, and it's not too terribly see-through, but I don't know if you can see this, when I put it over the blue, I don't know if you can kind of see that right there, you can see it makes it a lot darker. I don't like that, because when I'm doing the seams, I'm going to see light and dark, and I'm going to see all the little pieces in there. So think about that when you pick your fabric, that depending on what paper you're using, if you don't like that look of being able to see through the paper, or through the fabric, think about that when choosing. And so that's the other thing I like about this, is that it's not too terribly thick, so it does have a little bit of see-throughness to it, but it's, when put down with the papers, you can't see through it, so it's good. So then, I'm going to be pausing in and out as I do this, so that you don't have to watch all of the little details. The last piece that I need I don't have right here is manila folders. Let me grab those. Okay, so I have my manila folders. Now, it doesn't matter, the way, I don't personally like, at least for parts of this, I'm not going to be using the tabs. So it doesn't matter if it's your manila folder top, middle, or bottom. From my example, as you saw, I cut those off anyway, so I'm not going to be using the tabs. So it really doesn't matter which ones I have or if they match. You need at least 2, and that is really blowing out, isn't it? Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Okay, so I've lowered the light a bit so these won't blow out so much, but you're probably getting some lines. So I can't do much about that. So at least it's not flickering. So I apologize for the lines, but at least you can see what I'm doing. So again, here's my manila folders, and you need at least 2. I like to use my extra bits and extra folders to make the different things within the book. Like I said, like the journal cover, the pockets, some extra pages, fold out like we're going to make in this one. So you might want to have a few more on hand. What I do is I have a little pouch that I keep with all of my bits. So before, cutting into yet another manila folder, I always go straight into my my little pouch of extra bits to grab and see, hopefully something in there will work so that I'm not wasting. So always keep all those little bits, they come in handy. Okay, so let me set the papers aside. So the first thing we want to do is build the book itself. And I'm just going to go for about 30 minutes, and then we'll stop and then pick up things in the next video. So I'm going to kind of stick to the dimensions that I had for this guy. So height and width and all of that. So I'm going to pretty much stick with that. So what I've got here is each of these spines are 3/4, which is, from my manila folder, each of the folds that you have in the on the spine of the manila folder, you know, it's hard to see there, where you can expand out your folder, is 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the full 3 pieces, because mine has 3, so that's 3/4 inch, if I were measuring it. So that's on each side. And then my spine here is going to be 1 3/4. That allows me to, it's going to be the same width as the 2 edges, but it's going to give me some wiggle room, as you can see, so that whatever I put here, if I expand, have something thicker, I have my room for that. So you can see it gives me a nice amount of room. So I want the height here to be 8 3/4. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that on both of my folders. And again, it doesn't matter which side I use in terms of where the tab is, because I'm just going to cut that off. So let's see. And then I'm going to cut those off. So one of the first things that I'll say about what I didn't like about how I did the previous other book here was the spines themselves. They are not reinforced, and when you have I've done a lot of folios, and when I've had smaller folios, no problem. With the thicker spines, that is a problem. So you can see on this one, because, you know, the manila folder already has those folds in it, they wanted to fold. And so this one is just squishing all over the place. And so when it lays down, it's not always nice to me, and it doesn't always sit nicely. And I didn't reinforce the back spine either. So I'm going to do that in the new one. So that's one of the things that I'm not too happy with. Okay, so let me see. I just want to double check one measurement here. Right. Okay, that's what I thought. Just want to make sure. So now one of these, so if I'm going to go ahead and crease my fold so that I can see where that is. So 1, 2, 3, and that's 3/4 inch. Now I can see where that's at. So one of these guys is on my left, and so if this guy's on my left with the spine to my left. For the top piece, I'm going to measure out 5 3/4. So from that fold, so you can see I'm not all the way to the end, I'm at the last fold. So from that fold, I'm going to measure 5 3/4. Okay. And on the back piece, from the major fold, so as you can see the spine is there to my left. So from that fold, I'm going to measure 6 inches. And then what I'm going to do is I want my spine to be 1 3/4. So from the 6, I'm going to measure 1 3/4 inch, and I'm just going to mark that for now. I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to cut this side for now. I'm only going to cut this side. So this is the one that was on my left-hand side. And I'm going to cut the side that was 5 3/4 inch. Try and make sure that's nice and straight. 5 3/4. Okay. What I am going to do is, I'm just going to, for now, cut off the bits that are hanging over that were part of the tab. Okay. This is just the part that had the, oops, if I can get that in, the tab and the little knobby bit at the end. So I just cut that off to get it out of the way. I am going to eventually cut this, but I want you to see what I'm doing before I do that. So now I have one piece that has one side here is 5 3/4, and then I have a spine of 3/4, and I have another piece here which is to this line 6 inches, and then a space here of 1 3/4, and then I've got some bits left over that I don't care about, and like I said, I'll take care of that in a second, but you can see what I'm doing. So those are my measurements so far. So now I'm going to take the other piece, and now the fold is to my right. So this is going to be the right side of my book. And again, I'm going to fold at the very last fold, which is 1 3/4. So I can see that. And again, on the top, I want to measure from that fold. So now I'm going to put 5 3/4 from the fold like that. Okay, so now you can see from the fold, that distance is exactly 5 3/4 to the fold. And that's what I've done. Make sure there you can see that. Oop, there. Okay. Now on the bottom piece, from the other fold, I'm going to measure my 6 inches. 6 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to again measure 1 3/4. Come on, be nice to me. Okay. So it looks exactly the same as the other one. 5 3/4, 6, 1 3/4, with a 3/4 spine. And both of these are a height of 8 3/4. Now this is really based on the journal that you want to put inside. So if your journal is a lot shorter than that, you can obviously shorten your overall folio. If it's taller than that, obviously you want to lengthen your folio. So I will probably once again have just a blank folio, just blank random papers that I have laying around. So the images and whatnot on the journal don't really matter all that much. So let me see if I can get this part finished before we end this piece. So what I'm going to do is, for this side, the right side, it doesn't matter, one or the other side, but since I haven't cut this one, I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to make my 2 cuts here, and then I'm also, for this one, I am going to cut on the second line that I made, right? So that was the 6 inch. This is the 1 3/4 from that point. And so I'm going to cut my top piece, 5 3/4. 3/4. And my bottom piece, I'm going to definitely cut here. And cut that off like that. Okay. So now, I'm going to look at my 2 pieces. And sorry, if you hear that, that's my cat in the background playing. Probably got some kind of toy. So now, I've got my 2 pieces. This one still has that bit left over, and this one does not. So what I'm going to do is I want to score on the leftover lines. So on this one, the one to my left, I'm going to score at the 6, but I'm also going to score here at that 1 3/4. Now this is where you can do things slightly different if you want, but let me do this, and then I'll show you how you could do this differently. And then also on this one, I'm going to score at that 6" as well. So again, the one on the left gets scored on that line at 6". Find my score tool. Yep, there it is. Okay, and there we go. And then this one that was on the left still has this little bit left over. Oops, let me get that back into view. So I'm going to go ahead and score on that line as well. Okay. The one that's on my right, I'm going to again score on that line that was at the 6" mark. Okay. So now we've got our score lines. So I'm just going to crease these, and I like to go back and forth just to get a nice good crease on that. And then I'm going to crease these and go back and forth, get a good crease, and this one. Okay, so this is where you could do things a little differently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to butt these together. And this is going to give me a really nice, strong spine in the center. So, where I have my 1 3/4, right, there's my 1 3/4 on this one, and 1 3/4 on this one, I'm going to overlap them. If you want, so what I like to do is leave this, a little bit left over, and that's going to just give me a little extra to put the 2 guys together. And it helps to reinforce the folds just a little bit, because this one won't have that. If you don't like that, you can leave that off. It can be a little niggly, because if you don't get it lined up perfectly, you might have some fun. And so sometimes I've ended up just cutting it off because it didn't quite work. Okay, so it's important, the most important piece is that you have these 2 overlapping each other. So you can cut off this piece and just overlap the 1.5 inch. But like I said, I like to have that on there. It just adds a little bit of stability. So I'm going to, oops, let's see if I can add glue. Glue, 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 glue. And on my little bit. And I'm going to put that on the outside of the book. You can put it on the inside if you want. And now, I'm turning this around so that I can line them up better. It's easier for me to line them up looking at it this way. So now I overlap those 2 1.5 inch pieces. Now what I like to do is line it up and then close the piece together and look to see that they are lining up on these 2 sides, and also that you can have it as much into the fold as you can get it without compromising the ability for it to actually fold. So, and this side, what I'm going to do is fold that over and then fold this over. And so you can see it can be a little niggly. So I'm kind of having to force it a bit. There we go. So I'm going to use my bone folder and just really crease that down. Okay. So looking at it from the back, you can see that I've got one on the outside where I've got that extra little bit over, and on the inside I've got the 2 pieces with the 1.5 overlapped. So what I should be able to see is a piece here that's 6 inches, my spine of 1.5 inches, a piece here that's 6 inches, a spine of 3/4, and then my 5 3/4. And then on the opposite side, again, my spine of 3/4 and my 5 3/4. So that when I fold this up, as you can see, there we go. I've got my nice big spine and my 2 pieces fold in nicely together. Okay, so we'll stop there, and then on the next video I will show you how to do what I didn't do in the last one, what we're definitely going to do for this one, which is to shore up the spines to really ensure that they hold solid, and then we'll go on from there. So, all right, I'll see you in the next video.